Thanks for staying with us. So we're still discussing downgrade, getting married to somebody you feel like is below your level. And this woman found her husband talking to their friends, and he was asked if he thinks she was a downgrade. And then we decided to flip it, where there are men that walk into their wives with their girlfriends and say, do you think he's, you downgraded, or do you think he's too old for you or something? They ask you those private questions that's only between you and your girlfriend. Your husband was never supposed to hear.
Yeah, that conversation.
And then, unfortunately, he hears. And that's really what this conversation about.
Yeah.
You see?
So I would not say there are no classes. Of course, the social strata, we have classes, downgrade, there's downgrading. Downgrade can happen either way, right? I would accept that. However, my own issue is more on the response. When you are married to somebody, whether you are with friends or with enemies, you are supposed to be the person's knight in shining armor. That means when such conversations come up, you jump into defense mode. I don't have to preach to you to know what you should do. Later, you can rationalize.
I want you to lie. You have to lie.
Sweetie,
you have to lie that comes. So you're asking me to lie.
I don't understand. If it's about your partner is the best thing that has ever happened to you since fried rice. Oh, hold on.
Yes, but she's my. So hang in. I want to put an angle.
Okay.
You're my partner. She's my best friend.
Yeah.
We've been best friend way before I met you.
Yes.
So if she asks me a sincere question, I feel obligated to tell her the truth.
Why are you feeling obligated? You're
because she's my friend.
No. You see the problem we have in this marriage? You see the problem? You put your friend above your partner. No.
We've been friends before you.
You have chosen a partner. You should be the knight in shining armor of that partner. Anytime they raise the conversation inside your heart, you can now be analyzing whether the person is downgraded or not. However, you know why? To stop those people from treating your partner bad, they are relying on your information. You may think they are friends. Tomorrow they'll come in and they have a party and people are talking to them. Even if they don't say anything, the body language will show that this person does not even belong to our class. But if he had stepped up and shut them up in his response, he doesn't have to be angry about it, right? There's a way you make a statement that tells this person, oh, this one my wife now, I don't marry Amu, don't come here. That's just my point.
Interesting. I have an auntie. She's going to kill me for sharing her story. So she married, she married this guy, we call him Chicken and Chips, and because he was a Chicken and Chips guy. And we just felt that she downgraded, like, how can Chicken and Chips? Where did you guys meet? Yeah. But that time, she was so in love. She didn't even know, she didn't have a clue.
She will send you.
Until the man finished everything she worked for. Like all the stuff that she had built. The man practically crumbled her business, did everything. So friends are finding them and laughing at her. We told you. You that you are or whatever. You went to go and marry Chicken and Chips. See what you are. So sometimes there are ripple effects of these things. I understand. I'm not want to preach class. I always like to, but the reality is that it is there sometimes. But my problem is that when you are with family, shouldn't you, the not external, let me not take that back. Shouldn't you, the wife or the spouse, respect that circle, the conversation in that circle, that, you know what, those guys are having their conversation. Yeah. I am a wife, yes. When we come home, we do our thing. But I'm with my boys, I'm with my girls. Yeah. We can have secret conversations that you don't even have to have a clue about.
Not inside my house.
Okay, so this is how I see it, right? First of all, talking about the class, definitely we understand that we have that, but does not take the place of good character. Right. It does not matter whether you're rich or poor. Good people are good people, bad people are bad people. And we have rich good people and rich bad people the same way with poor. So that's what is more important. The character of the person is more important. Now, about that conversation, she bumped into it. She didn't mean to eavesdrop. She walked into a conversation about her, and that can happen. But truly, here we've always spoken about boundaries. I would not really want, I always say this, I don't need to know your every thought and your every move and your every plan. There are some conversations that are amongst friends. There are some conversations that we'll have that would never be conversations I will repeat to my husband. And I'm sure there are conversations he has with his friends that would never interest me or he would even think of repeating to me, So it's okay to allow people have some conversations, but we are hoping that in that conversation, that person who is your partner or your husband, your spouse, would always stand up for you. But what I want BC to understand is there is a conversation that happens amongst friends. When I started dating my husband, when I had to introduce him to my friends, I called them up and we're gisting, and they were like, we heard he's this much years older than you are. They were in shock. They could not believe it. They were like, what? He's old. You mean he has a pot belly? He's what? And we were laughing. So if he had walked in, he would have heard me laughing with my friends about what they thought me, even though he doesn't have a pot belly. But let's say he did have a pot belly. We're laughing about his pot belly. I was amongst friends. We're not being mean or malicious. We were just being honest and being vulnerable and being funny with each other. So sometimes that conversation happens. Not every conversation in Nollywood drama where they're just waiting to say something to you. So yes, so I just feel that that happened, but eventually that conversation between her and her husband, where she feels, do you really think I'm not good enough for you? It will come up.
You know, while you're talking, and a different topic entered on mind. You know how people get married and they never know anything about their spouse's past?
Oh.
Like they don't tell you. When you're talking about your friends talking and the conversations you have, you know, there are some conversations you have with your friends that maybe your husband or your wife doesn't know about your past.
Yeah.
And you choose to keep it in the past.
Yeah.
Now, those things happen. But what if your spouse finds out?
Bumps into it like this.
Okay, you're a cult guy. Like you never told her you're a cult. That you've killed people in the past in the universities. That but the
people like that.
He's given his life to Christ. He's not a good guy. He just felt that, you know, one of those things, or maybe he hasn't even given the life to Christ. Maybe he's just a regular guy. But he just feels like, you know, it's my past. I don't want to get into it. And anytime you bring up his university, he shuts it off. He doesn't want to talk about it. But you know, people always talk. And that your guy,
and he
that
comes
guy,
out
that TJ guy, that, you know, they find all sort of, you know, they tell you this guy used to be a cult guy. How does the spouse handle
this? So for me, number one, don't fish for information. What you do not know will not kill you. Just have that at the back of your mind and don't fish. Wait, I'm coming. Then if you now stumble into it, even the scripture says, if you listen too much into what your servants are saying. Solomon said it in Proverbs.
Exactly.
You will hear them insulting you.
Oh, yes.
Really?
So, yes.
Songs of Solomon?
Yes.
Oh, well,
in Proverbs. It's in Proverbs, yeah. You will hear them insulting you. So you pray not to bump into what you are not meant to hear. And if you bump into it, and probably you hear the conversation, you could either choose to ask a question later on, like, why didn't you tell me this aspect of your life? I know there was a day we discussed here where it's okay not to tell your partner everything about your past life. We said it was okay. You just have to find a way to make peace with the information. But if it's an information, like you mentioned now, that can kill you, this is somebody that is a murderer who has killed people before, and you bump into that sort of information, you may need to protect yourself because you could have bumped into that information as a saving grace.
Yeah.
You were just meant to know at the time. So it's not everything you swallow. He friended 7 girls, he impregnated 7. Those are things that you can deal with, and you foretell me now. Why didn't you tell me? But when it comes to losing lives, killing people, maybe it's a fraudster, and you had no idea, you may want to protect yourself. And
interesting.
Right.
So let's take a few comments on social media because I wanted to.
Okay, this person says BC is talking in all things being equal relationship. There are marriages that a partner is completely far apart from their spouse, affluence and education, etc.
So Dame Ebika says you must be the biggest cheerleader of your spouse, regardless of people's opinion. Tunai just says, okay, was responding, he said, where did you get the idea that downgrade is bad all the time? Sometimes upgrade cannot be maintained and leads to a crash.
Oh, I love that.
This is so beautiful.
Yes.
Ibingo says, Morayo is the only honest person on the table this morning.
You know, that is so true because look, one of my husband's friends, he has not gotten married. I've been begging him. Well, I mean, I've sent all my own friends to him on various dates. You know, for whatever reason, he's looking for Beyonce.
Hey, whoa.
Like, he's looking for he has something in mind.
Glass.
Half caste, this way, you know, he has something in his brain.
Making great one now.
So the point that, but if eventually he gets that kind of person, that kind of person is high maintenance.
Yeah, before.
That kind of person, so you God,
before.
kill me for this.
Don't say the person.
Don't call me.
I never mentioned that. But this person is looking for Beyonce-ish kind of person.
High maintenance.
High maintenance. So if you enter that kind of person, you might start because he has a very good job. But how do you sustain that? People don't think on the long term. They just think, I want to get this guy.
My problem is you're allowed to have dreams. Yeah. You're allowed to have all those dreams.
Aspirations.
Aspirations. But so my question would be, why are you not attracting it? Are you Beyonce spec?
Hey!
If Beyonce is your spec, are you Beyonce spec? That's the thing. So maybe you should take some time and look at yourself and then work on yourself. If you need to go to school, if you need to make more money, if you need to spend a few more hours at the gym, make yourself to that person's spec and make sure that you're ready to sustain it. So sometimes, in that case, it is aspirational, and it may also push the person to do better for themselves so that they attract that sort of person. But don't go and sit down in front of the TV eating eba and amala every day. Your pot belly is here.
And looking for Beyonce.
Yes, I think you're looking for Beyonce. Uncle, you wait a very long time.
All right, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll take a few comments on social media. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Yes, BC, you're going to say something for the break.
So the scenario just painted now, I think, first of all, the guy needs a coaching session with me so that I can diagnose the color of his problem. That's one. Secondly, he's not looking for a wife. He wants a picture, picture perfect. He wants an image that he has created in his head. Unfortunately, he cannot create it physically. That's one. Two, if he really has money, he can go and ship in babes. There are babes that are hourglass that are waiting to be bought. We had a governor of one state who was going to ship them Ethiopia. You will see, babes, not scarce. So now your pockets, now you determine if you can afford it. Then you ship them, you handle their lifestyle. Like you mentioned, I don't think he has that kind of money, and I don't think he's ready for that. So he may also have some underlying issues that are not letting him see, because you cannot say, you are successful, you're responsible, you have a clique, you cannot see any woman who wants you, you're waiting for hourglass. There's an underlying issue that he may not be able to share. And I hope the issues are not, I don't want to mention some names, but I hope the issues are not left to the left, and to the right, So, brother, he needs prayer. Should we organize a session?
Well, thank God it's one of those people that is a new friend. So we don't know too much about
him.
Yeah.
You may need to help his case.
Let me bring in this angle from the original conversation we're having. There's another part of this we've not touched on. Men not knowing how to speak. Because a lot of men, because especially when it wasn't Tokumbo, someone that called, said that he was trying to defend the man, that he didn't mean it that way. We say things loosely. I just think that she should understand now. I don't mean like that, But we forget that, because we expect that an African woman, a Nigerian woman, should just be able to absorb a lot of things. She's a shock absorber. I can throw things at her, and she has the capacity. I'm joking. I didn't mean like that now. But sometimes we don't pay attention to people's feelings, how you say things, the manner in which you say it, the tone at which you say it, the point at which you say it. These are little things that we've taken for granted in this part of the world. We don't care. We just, you even saw it in different people when they talk to their wives, shout at them, talk to them.
And they think it's normal.
Forget, and they think it's normal.
Yeah. I'm happy you brought this up, because there's one thing I always say about my husband that I noticed. It wasn't like he said it or anyone. It's just something I noticed, that he's not careless with his words. Especially when it has to do with me. I'm used to people, you're hanging with friends and then they say something to yab. There's always something to yab about Miriam. Oh, she's too long now. See her. I just never heard him say anything like that about me, not even in jest. And I just remember thinking about it, a few years down the line as we were dating and being together. I was like, I've never heard this man just be careless. I have been towards him, careless in my speech or careless in your jokes. And for me, I just have this respect for him. And because of that, I'm learning as well to be careful how I'm joking and how I, say some words. It's not easy, especially if it's something you're working on, but it's something that he has. It's important that we are not careless with our words. It's important that we put other people into consideration, when we're doing things. There's something that comes with being friends or being family. You just feel like you can say anything and they will get it. It's not coming from a bad place, but sometimes, no matter what your intentions are, what your motives are, it would land badly, and then you just hope that you're able to work it out. But
some women are just
let's be more careful.
That listen, this is how my husband is. You see, because just like you always say, pick your battles.
Yeah.
You've accepted that. Okay, this one, this is the one baggage I'm carrying. So not everything I can have this perfect nature in.
So you see how I reacted when we started the topic, because my love language, my primary love language is words of affirmation. So for every time somebody says something about me and you're my friend or my partner, I expect you to jump into my defense, right? So another person who probably doesn't have that as their love language may not see it as anything. May just feel like it's just boys talking or they're just gisting. So you need to understand yourself. And now when you know yourself, you need to be able to communicate to your partner that this actually hurts me. The way you did that, I felt like you saw me as a downgrade. I felt like you didn't love me enough. So you couldn't stand up to your friends and tell them, when I leave, I'm like that. You couldn't do that for me. You have that communication. So when I started dating my guy, he talks. People think when you see him, you think he's quiet. And I'm the one that talks. I'm actually the quiet one, and he talks. He out-talks me.
Hard to believe, but yeah.
Yeah, he out-talks me, you know. And he would say some things that would touch me. It's not the intention. They yab a lot in their house. That's one thing I had to understand. But it wasn't his intention to yab. I don't do well with yabbing, right? So when he throws the thing like that and he's expecting me to be laughing with him, I'm like, no. Okay, you can't throw that at me and expect me to laugh. He pay me. How do you? No. So he had to learn that. Oh, okay, this one, get threshold for yabu. We have to grow out of that. So you can help your partner. He can yab other people, but he doesn't yab me anymore because he knows that yab that he has yabbed me, I don't do well with it. That is my love language. So he learns and we grew. So sometimes you are right. Some men don't know how to they feel, well, it's just us talking now, but baby, I didn't mean it now. Now just talk where we they talk. Now, you know boys how we play. You train them how to treat you if it's not working for you.
You see, it's easy for you to say, you train them how to treat you.
I just gave you an example of what I did now.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, that's the training.
I'm not even disputing what you
doesn't mean classes.
Absolutely correct, but it's always difficult. So I've said it here several times. Everybody knows because they've yelled me in my house that stop telling everybody that Brown shouts because Brown does shout. And, and of course, in fairness to him, the shouting now is way reduced compared to how when we started. Trust me, it was a megaphone, But now he has grown to respect and regard, and he has calmed down. But there was a time when we try to have, because people like you say, have a conversation.
Tell
to your husband. Tell him. My husband will say, told me categorically, Morayo, I can assure you, I will never hit you. I will never disrespect you.
But you see the
shouting.
Yes.
I will shout.
But now,
I will shout at you. So when he has told me that, listen, that shouting, forget it.
But here we are today.
He's reducing.
He has reduced. Yeah, but it took. But see, I was able to allow it. So I wasn't quick to judge or just say, you know what, I'm done without it. Because many people can just say, you know what, I'm done, I can't do it. But somehow you can actually still manage it. And as you grow older, hopefully it begins to
if it doesn't pain you that much. So let's not manage what pains us plenty.
After all, we have talked of women who are managing cheating.
Yes, and it's okay.
Cheating.
Yeah, if it doesn't pain you that much, you can manage. If it pains you that much, you must have a conversation. I don't have the kind of patience that you have to collect it for a very long time. So from the beginning, as they were shouting at me in church or in everywhere, I was already saying, brother, this will not work, because I came from a mad house. If you shout and I choose to carry bottle, you will not like it. So let us, I said let us, and I told myself that I don't want to replicate how I grew up. So this shouting will not work, because you can shout on me on a day that my head is already touching from inside. I wouldn't want my children to see any form of that. And he also had an idea of how he wanted his family to be. So he worked on it, and that reduced. So for you, not to pain you like that. But you have been complaining about this since I joined this show here. He didn't pain you. He listens, and he's changing. Even if you don't meet him one-on-one to talk about it, he knows that you don't like it. Okay.